Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese cat. That was delayed singing, by the way. S, the world is ending. S, we're gonna have the greatest financial crisis ever. S, we have the 2-year and the 10-year yield being uninverted, finally, convincingly. S, we are worried about the Federal Reserve not doing any rate cuts anytime soon. Or if they end up doing it, they might end up overdoing it and it might end up bringing the market down into a whole panic mode. As we worry about any potential geopolitical risks, as we go into election, as we're going to choose a leader of the free world where maybe it may or may not work out. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And all of that, together with the fact that unemployment is going to go up way up to the sky, and the Fed's going to end up having a huge delay in acting because they always are. And as we have, a lot of global liquidity crunches coming, China's in economic depression, Japan's having issues, Europe's having big problems right now too when it comes to their economy. As all of these things are happening, look at the GME chart. Look at how nice the GME chart looks. I mean, it looks like it's just kind of flipped. This is the weekly chart of GME. It flipped all these like resistance down over here. This is a boomerang support band, by the way. And it's been negative sloping for a very, very long time. It's just kind of going down, 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 down. And next thing you know, something great happened with this big giant pop over here that happened back in April and May 2024, just a few months ago. It seems like it's such a remote memory now because everybody's really bearish again, especially when Bitcoin is not doing very well and all of these bearish narratives are coming. Look at what it's doing. It's flipped the boomerang support band from being negative trending to very convincingly positive trending, and it's pushing price up higher. Looking at a higher time frame too, and see whether we see something that's similar to that. If we are looking at the Bollinger Band on the 20-month here, 20-month moving average, it basically just did what a bull market would do at the beginning, right? It basically just flipped the 20-month moving average from very, very negative sloping from being bad resistance over here, and oink, 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 and all it takes just 1 month of price action that got way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, and ended up getting very, very strong pullback. But guess what? During the entire process over here, it has finally flipped the 20-month moving average from resistance over here to support. And whenever you talk about technical analysis, when you have something like this that happens, it's bullish. You have a very nice hammer candle, hammer bottom, or you can call this a dragonfly doji almost, because there's not much of a body here. This is a bullish candle. And so far, we've had a really, really bearish week, haven't we? On Bitcoin, on altcoins, on what else is there? On QQQ, on Nvidia, on Tesla, on everything. But GME did absolutely nothing. GME is just like a little nice doji here for the monthly. The entire thing over here, ever since February 2021 up to now, all of these candles are inside candles for this big giant green candle over here that happened in January 2021. We've just been consolidating sideways for about three and a half years, almost 4 years now. I think it's going to be 4 years come January 2025, right? When you have inside candles consolidating, and this is the entire history of GME, when you just made a higher high back in January 2021 and you just made a higher low in April of 2024, based on technical analysis, what are you going to do? After you're done with all these inside candles over here, is going to have the continuation of its primary trend. Because what is the primary trend here looking at the monthly? The monthly primary trend is telling you that I think it's going to be up, because this is a higher high compared to over here, and this is a higher low compared to over here. So the primary trend is up, right? I'm not here to shill your GME. I don't have a position in it at all. I just take a personal interest in terms of looking at the chart like this and trying to figure out what it's going to do. I think it's gonna probably end up gravitating up to the Tenkan indication up here around like the mid 30s, and then maybe even re-challenge the cloud over here sometime in 2025. Maybe even hit the top of the cloud here. Maybe that cycle would be over. Maybe if it ends up having a tons of short interest because of how bearish everybody is, and how whenever GME, if it ends up going up here, you know they're gonna be a bunch of people shorting GME again. I'm not gonna give you any crazy price targets, but I think that we've consolidated enough, and that there is a possibility for GME to break above all-time high. I'm not saying this to be like, sensational. I'm saying this as a technical analyst, because this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. That is all. We are still underneath a lot of resistance, right? Like 37 is going to be pretty strong resistance. 47 is going to be resistance. 60 is going to be a resistance. But all I gotta say is a bull trend. Even looking at the weekly time frame on the Ichimoku cloud, like it bounced where it needed to bounce from, and it's getting rejected where it needed to get rejected from so far, right? It's trying to claim the Tenkan back from resistance here to support, and it probably will need some additional time to do that. I don't necessarily think that it's going to just moon right away, because it needs to reclaim the weekly Tenkan. But this is GME. Whenever it does things, it does it in a real fast way. All I can say is like it really broke through the Ichimoku cloud on huge volume, and it backtested once on declining volume, right? It's trying to go up higher again on huge volume, and then backtested twice on low volume. And granted, this is when VIX was like greater than 65, by the way. Like this is the best that the bears can do when it comes to GME. And guess what it's doing right now is on an uptrend, is hitting resistance, and so far you're getting a little bit of rejection over here. But it looks like it wants to go higher. Look at that nice giant wicks down below over here, right? So yeah, I'm not bearish on GME. Should I be bearish on the market and be bullish on GME? I don't know, guys. Like, what do you think? Leave in the comments below. Subscribe and all that crap. Anyway, I don't really care. Actually, I do. Please subscribe. But what about AMC? Is AMC doing the same thing? I think, and I've shown you, like, for people who watch my channel before, I've shown you, I think, on the higher time frame, AMC is an absolutely horrible chart because it's been making nothing but lower highs and lower lows. Like right now, it just made a lower low a few months ago. It doesn't mean that you don't have a whole lot of upside potentially, with short squeeze, things like that. This looks like a very, very strong consolidation over here for about 4 months. It looks like a bull flag. I'm gonna be like completely honest. It looks like a bull flag. And if you're looking at like Ichimoku, you're gonna end up having resistance up here around $7. That's a lot of money to go from like 4 to like for $5 to like 70. It's like almost like a 40% gain. Again, not financial advice. There's downside risk. The downside risk is zero, right? I mean that's always the case. But overall, I gotta say that it's not. I would not hold AMC for a long time. If you want to enter as a trade, I suppose I can see that. Not financial advice. I'm just kind of here to kind of show you what I'm seeing, because the monthly 20-month moving average is also very negative sloping. So you're gonna end up like I don't think it's gonna end up like if you're thinking about it's going up to like 400 or something like that. I think you're mistaken. I don't think it's going to happen, right? But can it make a pretty big move up? I think it's entirely possible if there's a lot of short squeeze that's happening. Zooming in a little bit, looking at the bull market support band, it looks like it wants to try to reclaim the bull market support band, and it looks like if this runs together with GME, which it tends to run together with GME, and GME looks like it wants to break above the resistance there at the Tenkan. Maybe AMC would also break about the resistance over here too, but it might take like a few more weeks for it to do. I don't know when that's going to be, but these things move fast. Look at AMC, like all the price went all the way from like $3 all the way to like $12 in just 1 week. These things happen fast. Again, the downside risk is zero. Upside risk maybe like $7 somewhere around there, or the 20-month moving average that's negative sloping. There's just like I can see it hitting maybe like 17, 16 or something like that, and just I can totally see that happening. But that's AMC. Short term, I'm not bearish on it. I gotta say, short term, I'm not bearish on it. One last thing that I want to kind of talk about is Dogecoin. And I think that Dogecoin is extremely interesting because it looks very similar to GME. If I just get rid of any kind of indicator, you have the same thing here. Instead of January 2021, Dogecoin have this big giant green candle here in April 2021. And since then, ever since then, you basically have about 3.5 years of inside candles of this big giant green candle over here, this big giant monthly candle over here. What did it do so far? What's the primary trend? Higher high, right? Higher low, right? So the primary trend for Dogecoin is up. And whenever it is done consolidating sideways here for about 3.5 years, the trend is going to be most likely up, right? It's probably going to make a higher high. This is what the cycle is telling me. Does it have to do that? No, not necessarily, right? You have to take into consideration because sometimes even if things follow through with cycles, they don't make higher highs, like XRP, right? You don't know. You just don't know, right? Or like Litecoin, is it going to make higher high for every single bull cycle? You don't know that, right? So, but with that said, I don't know what this is. Yeah. With that said, I think the likelihood is there for it to hit higher highs because it's just been consolidating sideways for about 3.5 years. And there's like absolutely no volume at all. Like people are not interested in Dogecoin and well, it's just been accumulating. The way to look at this too is you put up the 20-month moving average. Every single cycle did the same thing. Like Dogecoin basically has 3 cycles: cycle number 1, cycle number 2, cycle number 3, and we might be beginning cycle number 4 here. Every single time when it happens, the 20-month moving average turn from negative sloping to positive sloping, and you might have like kind of dip down a little bit below that. But whenever it starts to kind of turn positive sloping, that's when you really are precipitating a big move up, right? I don't think we're going to end up getting like a crazy move up here. I do not think that's going to happen again. Do not get me wrong, right? But I do think that most likely, whenever we're done consolidating sideways over here, we're going to end up going up. This cycle is basically doing the same thing as the last cycle, where you have the push up here about the Bollinger Band, just way too far, way too fast. You have to wait for Bollinger Band to kind of expand a little bit. This over here expanded Bollinger Band here a little bit, right? So that's going to allow price to potentially go up and hit back around like the 17 cents level to go up higher, right? So this move here means something. Just like this move here, I think means something because it really is the one that really flipped the 20-month moving average from negative to positive. Right now, price is kind of a little bit below. This monthly candle has only got like 7 days of price action. So it might all turn out to be just a wick, right? Just like over here, it might all turn out to be just a wick, right? But overall, the 20-month moving average has been uptrending to flat, right? And it's just made a higher high over here, and it's just been making a higher low. You get all these wicks underneath below, telling us that, hey, I think this is probably going to be the lows, just like these wicks down here, right? So that's one thing. The other thing to kind of look at is the 2-week chart here. If you do the Ichimoku cloud, compared to the last cycle is a little bit of anomaly. If you think about technical analysis, generally they don't just like break through the cloud like that without any kind of back test, right? Usually for Ichimoku cloud, you got a cloud here. And generally the way I think about it is break through the cloud, probably either like hit the top of the cloud, back test the cloud, find support, and then go up higher, right? The last cycle didn't really do that because the Fed was just printing money like crazy and they just couldn't wait to like pump any memes like Dogecoin. This cycle is a little bit slower. What you're really seeing here is a breakthrough into the Ichimoku cloud, and we're back testing the bottom of the cloud. All of this are completely normal, by the way. And the bottom of the cloud is very, very much of a confluent zone of this like Adam and Eve pattern over here, of this big horizontal zone over here around like 9 cent, 10 cents, somewhere around there. So it's finding support where it needs to find support after forming a higher high, is forming a higher low. I cannot be bearish on this chart. So before you guys are telling me about all these macroeconomic scares and things like that, and I keep having like the same people coming up with like the same statements about the yield curve, an inversion, about like Fed's cutting, about all that. I share with you my thoughts, and again, my thoughts are very contrarian, and contrarian can be very wrong sometimes, but I'm definitely very much of a contrarian. and I'm showing you why that is. That's all. You know, if I turn out to be wrong, I'm wrong. But so far, I think that based on the sentiment out there is bad. And the charts for GME and AMC in the short term. GME, by the way, is underneath the 2 week cloud, is getting resistance there. So a lot of confluence of resistance, but actually, GME did end up closing this weekend inside the Ichimoku cloud on the 2 week here, just to give you an idea, even though it got rejected here. The sentiment out there is bad, but the overall the chart for like GME, AMC, and Dogecoin are good. Something doesn't add up. I'll let you add it up, and you know, you go do your own research and you go figure things out, and you come back and you tell me all the bearishness, all the bearish narratives that you have, and post on my comments, because I can use the engagement, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Have a good one. Bye.